I'll just move my mouth when you speak.
Okay. What's going on, everybody? I am Waldo from Face Wrestling. I know y'all can't see me because I am behind the camera on this one, but today we are joined with, as always, by
The Matt.
And Dr. The White.
And today our special guest, you've seen his illustrious picture on the social medias for Face Wrestling, the promoter of Inspire AD in Austin, Texas, the powerhouse of wrestling here in Texas, especially on the I-35 corridor, the man, the myth, the legend, Biss himself.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
We're so excited for you to be here, but since I'm not on camera, I'm gonna let Doctor, my wife, and Matt take this one.
I'm just glad you're looking and feeling better.
Yeah, survived. The neck is doing okay. I'm not concussed anymore.
Jeez.
Or less concussed.
Oh, just a little bit.
So why are we here today, Matt?
Today we are going to be doing a watch along and a Q&A. I don't know why that came out weird, but we're gonna do a Q&A. We're gonna do a watch along. We're gonna ask Biss all the questions we've always wanted to ask Biss, and some of the questions that you guys have wanted to ask him. And we're going to talk about and celebrate Hana a little bit.
Yeah.
Did I miss
Sounds like
anything?
fun.
All right, so
Let's
first
do
things first, as always, so we don't get hit with the Don Stevens here.
Oh.
We're going to be playing the Hana press conference from March 25th. March 25th, right?
Oh, you should know.
Yes.
You
I
write
have
it
all.
down.
Actually, I was sitting here looking at my notes. I was like, I have everything except for the exact date. It's the day after episode 38.
We should staple a
which we
sticky
covered.
to your forehead with a date on it.
Yes.
So this is episode 39, and we should be good in timeline wise. And as we start this, let me go ahead and start it for y'all.
I got my tea.
Now,
I'm ready.
we couldn't open press conference as we can't get to your local storage right now.
Uh-oh.
Take 3.
Oh no, Sadie's not with him anymore.
Oh, no. We're Face for Wrestling, remind you. Be
We
nice.
stole take 3. We can have it.
Oh.
We stole it fair and square.
Oh, she's looking lovely.
All right, so we have this going in the background now, right?
Okay.
Y'all can see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I don't know who the dude on the left is. I've asked around about this, but I know that the ever so charismatic gentleman on the far right is our ever favorite Japanese Jack Tunney.
There he is. In all his fedoric splendor.
Now, again, this took
Fedoric.
place the day after episode 38, and this is when Hana is officially signing with Stardom as a full-time player, or as we know, a wrestler. So I'm assuming post-press conference that she actually got her tracksuit, because those are only for the full-time wrestlers in Stardom.
I'm going to assume that the man on the left is a moderator, maybe?
That's what I'm assuming. And if you notice also in the background, you see Wrestle 1.
Yeah.
There. Okay, so I did a little bit of research, and I'll be going through this in my notes. Wrestle 1 is actually the school that the Great Muta started up.
Oh, nice.
And so she trained there for about 3 years. And this is where I'm at in my notes. And that now that she's done training with Wrestle 1 and ready to move forward, she's wanting to start with Stardom full time.
This is Hana you're talking about?
Yep.
Okay.
And now, right after Hana speaks, they're going to be going into some questions from the press because it's actually a full-on press conference.
Right.
Control yourself, Waldo. Do not go off on press conferences in wrestling lately.
Oh, okay.
For those that know, they know. Ain't that right, Biss?
Yeah.
But Hana was asked about how she feels on all this. She's very excited to be joining Stardom full-time and said that she was training with Wrestle 1. Now, it opened in 2013 and unfortunately had to close in 2020 due to
Oh,
reasons that would get us barred here on the YouTube because they're so sensitive about that.
right.
Muda.
Oh, jeez.
Well, yeah, that's we'll just keep it at that. So, but they've been she has been making appearances up until now, obviously in our timeline, and most notably had her introduction into Stardom with her mother, Mrs. Kyoko. And And she notes that she's going full time. The reason is that she wants to give back by helping out where she can and supporting the Stardom staff and wrestlers overall.
Yep.
Make wrestlers look good. Essentially, what she's doing in our pre-TCS timeline that we saw in episode 37 and 38, bring in foreign wrestlers, maybe even local wrestlers, to build a faction up to kind of introduce them to Stardom and the rest of the world. And
So like the ambassador.
that's her, really how we've been saying her unofficial role has been in Stardom so far,
Yeah.
up to this point. And Matt, I'm going to have to go back to a couple of off-camera things we've said before, in that this was definitely, if this is all you hired her for, you've done the right thing.
Yeah, 100%.
So before you continue, I have to ask, this is the first question of the night. Where did the translations come from? Because I don't see the helpful translation guy. Is this your fancy Japanese that you've been working here, your Japanese brain?
So I did pick up a couple of words here and there. However, this is the use of AI and also calling in a couple of favors.
I see.
Our mutual friend.
Well, thank you.
The Rolodex, the wonder of the Rolodex.
Contract out.
But for the helpful, as Dr. My wife pointed out, helpful Japanese subtitle guy is not here for this one. I wish they would have. But we've also been noticing the past couple of episodes that has not been entirely accurate.
Yes.
And so just keep that in mind as we start moving forward. Her signing with Stardom full time is seen as leveling up. She did specifically bring that up, in that even though she was spending a lot of time with Wrestle One and hitting a couple of other promotions in Japan around this time period, that her signing with Stardom was definitely seen as that next level thing. Twins.
Oh, stop it.
Specifically, she was asked why she chose Stardom, and it was because of the people, and that it was an all-women's promotion. She has wanted to be a professional wrestler for a very long time, definitely inspired by her mother in the original incarnation of Oedo Tai. I know you can't see it because I'm off camera, but I am wearing my Oedo Tai hat.
Oh, that's a everyday thing.
And just like we've already mentioned, she enjoys being paired with the foreign wrestlers and is starting to put a team together. And this is where she finally announces that she is building a faction. So we've been calling it pre-TCS.
Yeah.
We'll see in the next couple episodes of our timeline to whether they name it or not, but it is going to be TCS.
Yeah, you've already seen the workings, the gas masks coming, the theme songs, the colors.
And this crossover between local and foreign wrestlers is part of her signing full-time, too. The fact that they're bringing in more foreign ladies to be able to be highlighted in the promotion, as we see right now with Rebel Kell, Ex-Zia, Goya Kong, and many others that we've seen come across. This is kind of what pushed her to say, you know what, I'm ready for this. And they're going in the right direction.
Yep.
Hana notes that it was her decision to become a professional wrestler and sign with Stardom. Nobody forced her to do it. Nobody pushed her in that direction. This was totally on her by herself. And I think that's something that goes kind of under the radar, especially in this day and age. A lot of wrestlers feel like they're forced to sign with somebody based on the potential exposure or potential whatever the case may be. And for this, I'm actually going to ask Biss about, do you see that happening a lot in the Texas independent wrestling scene, where people feel like they're forced to go somewhere based on peer pressure or something like that?
I think there's always sort of that situation happening depending on what level it's on. I think it's a lot less prevalent now than it was before, maybe especially when I broke in. There's kind of natural paths for people to take. If their school is associated with certain promotions, there's kind of that natural, pipeline for them to start off there. But a lot more, it seems like schools are just encouraging people to go wherever they can learn. So, and I know in Japan, there's a lot of loyalty between, promotions and specific trainers and specific promotions. So I could see where that was coming from. And I'm sure she's, people are thinking that her mother's directing her to go certain places. So I understand why she would clarify that for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say too. Yeah, there's definitely probably some extra pressure whenever you're a wrestler's kid going in, that they probably think you're being forced a certain way, or you have to do it this way, or you're going to be a wrestler in general. And so it's nice that she's clarifying, no, this is my decision. Nobody made this for me.
Yeah, and there has to be a little bit too. I'm assuming here, but she watched her mother perform in full Joshi promotions.
Right.
And at this point in Japan, a little bit before this, most of the Joshi was mixed in with other promotions. So to have a promotion like Stardom where it's full Joshi wrestling had to be appealing to her too at the time, I would assume.
So, Doctor, my wife,
Yes.
along the same line of thinking, because you're currently going to Hybrid School of Wrestling for ring announcing commentary.
Yes, and interviewing too.
You don't think there's any kind of pressure for you to go a certain direction as far as like promotion work goes or anything along those lines?
No. Actually, Marvel is really good about making sure that you are ready, just in general, ready for wherever you decide to go to. So this is the same for wrestlers. He doesn't train you for a specific promotion. He trains you generally to make sure that you know how to do what you're supposed to do, from the wrestling to even promoting yourself. So no, there's no peer pressure as to where to go. The hybrid school of wrestling also has a hybrid experience, so now you can cut your teeth on something and start working your way through making it to promoting yourself elsewhere. So you're always going to get the experience through there. But no, there's no pressure to be anywhere except just make sure you know how to engage with other wrestlers, engage with other people, promote yourself.
That kind of ties into what you were saying earlier, kind of joking around about the Rolodex, but you should
Yeah.
definitely always be expanding your Rolodex
Right.
anywhere and everywhere
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, networking is one of the best skills that you can have, no matter if it's wrestling or whatever you're doing.
Yeah, I think one of the first things I was told, and this is something that everybody's told at the very beginning, is when you enter the school, you have to say hello to everybody.
Yeah.
And that's just to get you out of your shell a little bit, to get you used to speaking to people face to face, looking them in the eye, things like that. And it grows as you get more comfortable, from hello to how are you to having a full-on conversation. This works the networking piece, or at least starts it,
Can I tell you guys one of my secret games that I like to play?
Okay.
Like, I'm not initially like just come across as I'm the promoter.
Yeah.
I try to stay very low key. If I can get a read on you and your personality and how you act before you know I'm the promoter,
Yeah.
I will 100% use that to determine whether or not I'm going to book somebody or use them or be involved with them at all.
Oh, hold on. Let's
That's
fix
it.
that. We'll put the Christian blue dot on you real quick.
Yeah.
The what?
This way they can't identify it.
Oh. Okay.
He's doing this now all muffled behind a blue dot.
Is this like Secrets of the Ring?
Yeah.
I should have my hockey match.
Oh,
Where's the stunt granny at?
It's some very old references here. Now, Hana does note that there is a difference between being a part-time and full-time wrestler, or being signed full-time in Stardom, and in the level of commitment. And we've definitely seen that here in the Texas wrestling scene, where you can tell, not negatively, but wrestlers come in for a one-off or for a couple of shows, and they're not going to be there for a long period of time. And the fans kind of get a little bit of turned off on that, where I'm going to give Stardom tip of the hat here, because how long has Hana been in Stardom up to this point?
she's 21 now.
So it's been about a year, right?
But they get turned
No,
off by
she's
what?
been here in Stardom for 2 years, right?
It's somewhere a year
Yeah.
or two, right? But you, the fan, especially us, when we first started watching Stardom, we didn't know she was part-time.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
She knew, we honestly thought that she was full-time until we ran across this press conference here.
Oh,
It was
I see, I
Oh,
see.
wait, but she's putting the work in.
Wow.
And so now for sure she's full-time. So there was no distinguishing as a fan. Oh, are they going to try to put a title on her, or is she just not going to be here long enough for that? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Turn down my Warzone alert. Sorry.
Warzone.
Warzone. For those of you who played Metal Gear Solid.
Well, it's also a potato reference if you get that. But overall, the press conference was to highlight Hana signing with Stardom and let the press ask some basic questions to get to know who she is overall, and let her interact with the public on a kind of outside the character type thing, because how we see her in this press conference is not necessarily how she's being presented in the ring current timeline.
Okay.
And definitely not moving forward.
So yeah, she hasn't booted anybody in the face yet.
Oh,
So.
not yet.
Oh,
It's coming.
she also looks like a capital S star.
Yeah, yeah,
She
100%.
looks like a movie star.
In current timeline, not even just people currently staying in Stardom, but going out. Stardom does a really good job of allowing their talent to present themselves as stars. You know,
As they should.
I know
As they
there's
should.
rumors about where Julia's gonna end up or whatever, but like just looking at her, you could build a company around her.
Yeah, absolutely.
And-
Dress for the job you want.
Yeah, and then the
Yeah.
others that have gone out, and Io when she left, and Kyrie when she left, they look like this is somebody I want to watch. This is somebody I want to follow. This is, like I said, somebody I want to build around. They do a really good job of that. They're not just showing up in sweatsuits and go where I go and money. You know, yeah. I mean, there's something to be said for wrestlers who do that. But yeah,
Hurting my heart.
Man. We're supposed to be face for wrestling, by the way.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, after today, and for those that know, I'm going to be opening up another account, Heel for Wrestling, where I talk nothing but
wonderful.
Dallas Cowboys.
Oh man.
Thank you, guys. I
We just probably
appreciate it.
heel for Prescott.
Hold on, I lost my gig.
Yeah.
All right, so that's really the end of that. I may leave it playing in the background. How long is left on it? We got about
Not
like
very much.
I
I
I'll
see.
can whenever this closes out, I'll just have us go back to full screen.
Oh, okay.
But we have had some questions come in for Biss, the ultimate promoter.
It's okay. It's okay.
I'm prepping. Deep breath.
And I'm going to start with the first
You
question,
are.
and because Biss already knows how I feel about this. Matt knows how I feel about this. Doctor, my wife knows how I feel about this.
This
favorite
better
thing
not
in the
be
world?
about. Okay. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So the first question that we have from Biss is, what are your feelings on the deathmatch scene?
Oh man.
Gosh, here we go.
Oh boy, we're kicking it right out of the thing.
Right out the gate.
So deathmatch wrestling is what piqued my interest in Japanese wrestling. So there's a very special place in my heart for it. Big Mick Foley fan. Followed. If you were a fan of Mick Foley, then you heard about these crazy death matches in Japan that were something you'd never seen. So I followed that to his death matches, which tied me into Onita. And one of the first favorite matches that I saw was Combat Toyota's retirement match, which then got me into Joshi wrestling. So like, in a weird way, there's a special place in my heart for it. But at the same time, there's nothing I would want to watch less than bad deathmatch wrestling, specifically American deathmatch, whack each other with random trash.
Is there a
deathmatch wrestling.
spectrum to it?
I
There's a
think so.
huge spectrum.
I think if you take two guys that can wrestle and you put them in that environment and they're wrestling and the elements of that are tied into the actual psychology and the wrestling, there's very special moments that can be made. If you have two guys that can't wrestle and you're trying to cover it up with those elements, it's probably crap.
Okay.
I also appreciate the fact that a guy going through a deathmatch tournament can kind of showcase his toughness. Something that I've used in promoting. The deathmatch show that we co-promoted with Heavy Metal was a big part of that. So yeah, it's kind of a yin and yang kind of relationship with deathmatch anymore. It's not something I super enjoy promoting, especially month in and month out,
Yeah.
just because it definitely is much more dangerous, and there's a chance that I have to deal with one of my talents being maimed or seriously injured, which makes any, like, it can be the best in-ring show, but if somebody gets hurt, you're bummed out for a week, if not longer. So, yeah, I hope there's an answer somewhere in that diatribe I just went across, but yeah, that's sort of my relationship with deathmatch wrestling.
It makes sense.
Can I tie off of your answer to plug
Yeah.
somebody real quick too? Because I'm with you. I feel like there is definitely a spectrum. There's a difference between watching someone like Dimitri Kilbear go do a match, who puts the psychology and the actual talent behind it, And then if you were to watch me go to a death match, I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm just swinging stuff as hard as I can. So there, and you have that because I don't want to name names because we don't try to go negative, but there are people out there that are just it's me in a ring swinging a bat as hard as I can
Yeah.
at somebody's head, and to me that does a disservice to people like Dimitri who do it really well and safe as it can be because it is a death match at the end of the day. And so like I would rather we calm down on the number that happened in the scene in general than keep just plugging and plugging and plugging.
Yeah, it should feel special.
Yeah.
I will tip of the hat to Borracho.
Mm.
They're sort of a quote unquote deathmatch company, but at the same time, the ones that they've done, they've made mean something.
Mm.
So hopefully that continues. Coming for you, Brad.
Over here. Would you do a death match?
Me personally, or book one?
You.
Ooh.
When, like at this point, no, because I couldn't walk the next morning. But,
Well, younger
Well, if
you.
could, if you
Like-
could.
Like if you gave me my body when I was like 21, then that was definitely something that I thought I was going to get into. Looking back on, if you gave me my wisdom from now, absolutely not. Well, maybe not absolutely, but much less likely with the wisdom that I have looking back over 16 years of watching it. Those scars don't go away, right? Like those scars are there forever.
Yeah.
And you only get one trip around the sun, right?
Yeah.
So, probably something I would pass up. Immense respect for the guys that do it properly, though.
Yeah.
What would it take for you to do a death match?
What would it take? Oh. Wow.
I think 3.5 million. I could
I
live
can see
off
that.
of the interest for the rest of my life and never live comfortably for the rest
With
of my life.
great insurance.
Yeah, so 3.5 million, and I'll give you 25 minutes,
Here's a follow-up.
We'll go Broadway.
then. With your 21, we're going to do a Rocky Balboa question.
Oh, man.
then. With your peak body
Yep.
and the current deathmatch wrestlers now, who would you like to deathmatch against?
So, a big part of the reason I'm in the office position is that my peak physical body was not at the level to be much more than a weekend warrior. But today, like John Wayne Murdoch, I think is the best guy out there.
Yeah.
So I would probably really enjoy being able to do something with John Wayne Murdoch. I'm not athletic enough, but Arrow Boy is amazing and does it. And then like if you want to go like Onita would be like my childhood.
You got to, yeah.
would like go crazy for that. And then just another one, like his body's not where it used to be, but Matt Tremont I think is amazing too.
Sorry, I'm leveling out over here.
Oh, did the press
What up?
conference finish?
Oh yeah, so the press conference is already done. Like I said, I've already moved us back up to the main screen here.
Hold on, let me backtrack that one on you real quick. Would you do a death match, and if so, for how much?
Who?
You?
Me?
Yeah, because I know your feelings on death matches, but I also know your feeling that there's a price for everything.
Everything's got a price.
Yeah.
For the $1 million peso redneck.
Oh,
So, what's your price for a death match?
Not enough. I would have to go far beyond the 3.5 million. I would say double that so I can get all the compounds set up and everything first. Pay for the medications that I'm going to be
Pay for the
needing. Yeah, it's. I don't see a point in it 9 times out of 10, and that may be because of oversaturation.
No,
because it's being played out on TV. I don't think that a death match should ever be played on free TV.
oh
I don't think
see.
any
I see that
spectacle
segment.
match should be played on free TV because it takes the special away from it. That should be something that sells those tickets for the pay-per-views or what we're calling premium live events now. So if you have a show, independent wrestling scene aside, because that's kind of a different situation there, because you don't normally on the independent scene, especially here in Texas, you don't have promotions doing weekly shows or even twice a month. We have
There's
once a
some that
month,
do.
some that do, but far and few in between. So why are we going to oversaturate the market here when, like Biss brought up Borracho Pro?
Yeah.
That's their shtick.
Mm.
I'm not trying to belittle them. Please,
They have
please,
a show
yeah.
coming up here soon.
Yeah,
Too.
please don't think it's like that. And Uncanny, the last couple of shows they've have had death matches in them.
No, this the last show they had wasn't. They had death matches in them.
To me, when is too much too much?
Mm.
If you're going to see a show where Dimitri, like you brought up, Matt, we love him. We actually have the up on the shelf over here. See if I can get the camera up there. We actually have a piece of the table he went through when he won his Inspire Pro Pure Prestige Championship.
Yeah.
Yes.
Got him to autograph it and everything.
Oh, it's up there. He
Fantastic
Got the
match.
stickers on it and everything.
Yeah, and it tore the house down. We absolutely loved it.
Mm.
But we also know that Dimitri wrestles across the state of Texas.
Yeah.
What if he had been that same weekend going to Borracho, going to Uncanny, going to RCW, and he kept doing those death matches? He didn't. But you just saw one, and then you're seeing another and another. And at what point does it lose its value?
Mm.
It numbs you after a while.
Oh, it
Yeah.
does.
And you see that in TV shows too. It's not just wrestling. It's in everything. It's jumping the shark.
I'm touching on the numbing thing too. You also have the danger then, because it numbs people, of well, he fell off a 10-foot ladder. Now I got to fall off a 15-foot ladder. And now I got to jump off this building. And it just, where do you stop?
Well, he only fell off an 8-foot, so do I even really care? Like, yeah, you're just kind of hurting yourself. Or, well, collectively, everybody.
So I think my price would be not only the monetary side of the house, but to also the fan appreciation side. Would it mean something for those fans and be unique for the promotion and experience overall?
I think it goes back to what was said about the wrestler and making it special. The wrestlers that are involved do make it special, depending on their level of care of it. Because I know one in particular, Stud Stash, does death matches too, and he really does prep for those matches, like mentally prep for those to make it as special as possible, because he wants to make sure what he puts out there is quality. Uncanny does theirs, but they don't do them often. Inspire does it as well. Again, they don't do it often either. So at least independently, it is special because it doesn't happen all the time, unless that is the whole promotion's mission statement. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Stud's an interesting case too, because his first match with us was "quote unquote" a death match.
Was this the one where he got shot?
No, that was later on. But it basically introduced him to our crowd as a tough guy. So then, now that he folds in and he's the muscle for Little Evil, he's got a little bit more sandpaper, a little bit more grit to him.
This was the Pentagram Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Shout out to Stud. Came out with a fender strapped to his arm.
Actually, the fender has a name. The fender has a name for
does.
your information. Misery.
Yeah. Sorry, he came out with a misery strapped to his arm. That right there, again, that goes back to what we're talking about, doing it right. They did 2 minutes off of just that spot with nobody ever getting hurt.
100% the only reason that he got booked. The only match that I'd seen him in before that, he injured his knee and couldn't finish the match.
Wow.
So I had word of mouth that he, was healthy. But the only other thing I'd seen was stuff with with misery.
Nice.
So 100% the reason that he got the shot, and then now he's a staple of our company.
Yeah.
Is Bret Hart overrated?
Oh, don't do that.
No, that's a question that I got.
Was it really?
It is. I saw the question.
I'm going to answer this one, and I'm going to take a shot at someone. Bret Hart is overrated because he is rated number 1, and he is not the best. So therefore, he has to be overrated.
Damn.
Can I ask you a follow up to that part then? Just so then that if Bret Hart doesn't get injured and was able to continue wrestling for another 5 to 10 years, does he have a chance to get that number 1 spot
to be number overrated? 1? Yeah, probably. Yeah, and I guess I'm saying Ric Flair, and I'm doing this purely out of spite, because the exact same argument was made against Ric Flair to me at one point, and it really upset me. But I would say it's one of those two. right? As far as in ring,
I was gonna say, are we just saying
let's
just
take
technical?
out the whole business because there's so many different variables that go into that.
Yeah.
It's got to be one of those two guys, right?
The next one is probably my favorite question.
Okay.
Is the franchise Shane Douglas overrated? Hold on a second. Yes.
No.
No. Shane Douglas rules.
I think
Shane
Ready?
Douglas
Fight.
rules.
I'm with him on Shane Douglas rules, but also I feel like a lot of people don't rate Shane Douglas anyways, so you
Yeah.
can't be overrated if most people are
Yeah,
overlooking you.
Dean Douglas is horrible.
Oh.
But franchise Shane Douglas is awesome. Like that's a moment in time.
Yeah.
Like
I'll give you that. I will. Everybody already knows that moment in time.
yeah. Like if you go back and watch that now, those promos are probably gonna make you cringe. But like that weird late '90s, you know, the only guy dropping F-bombs and calling Ric Flair a dinosaur and all that stuff. Like that's also like my my teen years. So like I ate that up. Yeah.
So weird.
And he's from Pittsburgh. So like
Oh, okay.
come on.
A weird full circle moment here too, though. A lot of deathmatch companies built themselves up off of his back as well.
Yeah.
He got them off the ground
Yeah.
for better or worse.
Yeah, XPW,
Yeah.
with him coming in was a huge boon for them. Like, yeah. And like his when he was on commentary, it was amazing. When he blew his elbow out. He was really good on commentary too for well, I don't know, he was next to Joey Styles, so maybe that's why he looked so good.
Styles
Joey,
makes everybody look
Joey
good.
Styles makes, yeah.
But I think Shane Douglas doesn't get credit as a talker.
Yeah.
He does. I know you don't like what he says a lot of times because you think he gets a little too self-involved, but that's the character. That's the franchise. He's supposed to be talking about himself and putting himself over. So I think people don't give him the credit as a talker that he probably deserves as well.
Yeah. Well, and especially he knew that crowd.
Yeah.
Like, you go back and listen to today though, it doesn't hold up over time, but in the moment he was amazing.
But also he found a way because there were so many good talkers in that company at the time.
Yeah.
You had a Foley, you had Raven, you had Dreamer, which was a different kind of promo. You had Sandman. He found a way to stand out and be different from all of those guys. So yes, it is cringy now, but at the time nobody else was doing it.
Yeah.
So I'll give you're overrated, Waldo, not Shane Douglas.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Oh no. How do you feel about part-time wrestlers or legends at indie shows? I'm glad you sent this question in because funny enough, those that know at the last Inspire show what happened.
Hold on,
Oh.
what part-time legend do we have? Oh,
Yeah.
oh yeah, we got to keep that guy off the card.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, now we can't really bring that up. Just know that
Yeah.
it's an inside joke here.
Yeah.
But
So, but like, I guess I need a little bit of clarification. Like, are we talking about like you bring in Hacksaw Jim Duggan? And
yeah,
he,
something along those
he
lines. Like
hits the top heel with a 2x4.
I give you a prime example of a show that we went to was the Pro Wrestling Element show in San Antonio that Troy ran, where they brought in Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle
Does
wasn't
that
even
count? He didn't get in the ring.
right, but just the fact that you have him on the card, you're bringing a part timer in. You notice that, not to take away from anything, Troy, a lot of folks only showed up for Kurt Angle. Now that's a good thing because they also got exposed to everybody else that was
Right.
at the show too, and that's always a plus to bringing a part timer or a legend in that respect to a show like that. But there's pros and cons too, from a fan's perspective. For us here at Face Wrestling, there are times where you bring somebody in like that and it overshadows everything else going on. So I'm going to toss this over to Biss because as a promoter, how do you think there's too much, too little? Can it be overdone or underdone?
Yeah. So my goal is to elevate guys to the next level. That's not every promoter's goal, right? Some promoters' goal is to make money. You know, write a book if you can. Some promoters' goal is, just to send, family and kids home happy. So it kind of depends on what you're trying to do. If you're bringing them in and it's getting eyeballs on the rest of your roster, and then it's elevating them, cool. But we have this horrible thing that we do over the last 10 years, maybe more, where we bring in the legend and then go, oh, that's a real star. The guys now aren't real stars. That's a real star. That's
Yeah.
and like, can you like the example is always, can you imagine like Bruno showing up on Raw and going, well, this Stone Cold guy, he's not a real star like I was. Like, imagine what that would have done.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it does when you see it at that top level. So it works the same way on the indies sometimes. If you bring in a guy and you present him like he's the biggest star. I worked with a legend on a show in Dallas one time, and he came in and he's like, oh, well, I had this idea, maybe I'm in the ring getting interviewed. And then, do you guys have any heels? Who's the main? This guy here, he's a pretty good heel. So maybe him, and who else is a heel? Maybe they come in and they try to jump me, and then I get him and I get him, and then I leave him laying. I think everyone will really enjoy that. Well, cool, but now the top 3 heels just got beat up by a guy that's well past his prime.
Yeah.
So now next month, when you got your babyface in peril against these guys that some old guy beat up last month. So it's definitely a slippery slope. I try to avoid it wherever it's possible. The guests we bring in is usually brought in to highlight or elevate somebody that's already on the roster.
So here's a follow-up question then, because some promotions bring the guest in to also help with the networking, like just expose the guys, like you said, but also to give some knowledge, because some of them do workshops, they do discussions on production, discussions on wrestling. In that aspect, do you think it's a good way to bring them in? Because there's promotions like you mentioned, PWE has done that. Hybrid does that as well, and it gives really good exposure to the wrestlers that are in there, the students, the veterans and things like that.
So I think, again, it depends on, you have to know your audience, and you have to know what the goal of your promotion is.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to develop students, and because you're 100% right, those guys, there's not a lot of people left that really know.
Yeah.
And when you bring those guys in, they know they can give that experience. So it's really what you then do with that legend on the show afterwards, right? That's what you have to be careful of. And sometimes they know, but they also know what gets them over, and they want to make sure that that's what happens, right? So it's just really kind of how you treat it. There's definitely benefits, but those are the reasons why I kind of shy away from it.
So then, would you say that a big recommendation falls back on the promoter, that you got to research who you're bringing in, as well as not just knowing your thing, but knowing what they're going to do when they come in?
Yeah, well, and then sometimes you don't know. Sometimes it's the great unknown, right? You kind of know, the wrestling character. You get a general idea when you're doing business with them, but you never know. What I try to do is, a lot of times when I use somebody, I try to get some feedback from someone else that's used them, so that way I kind of know what to expect. But sometimes a guy shows up and his idea of what he wants to happen that night is completely different from yours. So sometimes you have to have uncomfortable conversations with people that you may have even been like a fan of, which I've been there before. Not in a promoter role, but in an agent role of helping someone out and being like, hey, this is what they want done. Oh, I wanted to do this. Well, this is what they want done, and they're paying the bill, so this is what needs to happen. And then sometimes it's like, well, I need this person on the show. I need this to happen, so we have to work something out.
Yeah, gotcha.
Still on the line of legends and part-timers, and kind of steering away from the independent scene, how do you feel about those same folks showing up at a major event? For instance, the Santa Taker that shows up at WrestleMania every year.
You mean not the Ghoulie Gooker?
It's Thanksgiving, I'll have you know.
I mean, for a while there, it became an attraction, right? Because it was who was going to get the Undertaker match. I think it does a lot of that. Okay, WrestleMania season, time for the real stars to show up. Like, why would you watch the other, 9 months of the year or whatever it is with the guys that are the B team players? if the quote unquote real stars are going to show up, in April. So that's always kind of frustrates me with the TV. I think there's a way to use people like that, but use them in support of the people that are going to be there, month in and month out, hopefully selling tickets for you, which that company currently is doing a great job of selling tickets. So I can't talk too much, but in the past they haven't, and I think big part of telling your fans, hey, these guys are more special. But you see it now, like they've cultivated fans that will eat anything that they put on the plate. Now they bring guys back, and it's kind of like, well, wait a second, we want to do the LA Night thing. We want to do the thing we've been doing week in and week out. We don't care about this guy that's been gone for 10 years. So
you've promised us the story.
Yeah,
we want the story.
Yeah,
which is huge on Twitter right now.
We don't care about this old stuff. This is our stuff. We watch this week in and week out. God bless them.
This is it. There was that combination because, like you said, 5 years ago when it was all just kind of casual and you had to use Brock over and over again, once a month, once a year. It worked because you had to keep the lights on. But like you said, they've done a surprisingly good job, and a lot of it is the fan now. They want what they want, and what they want is now. Which sounds weird to say out loud, but
the discontent fan is gone.
Yeah. Oh, really?
You don't have people chanting weird stuff, trying to take over the show. If they're not happy, I mean, that's kind of the benefit of having two major promotions. If they're not happy with what that company is giving them, they go and watch the other promotion, or they just stop watching. Right. Which seems like maybe what's happening. Right. So the fans that are left are the ones that they enjoy that stuff. It's not my cup of tea. It's not my flavor ice cream. But the people that are in those buildings, they're there to chant along. They're there to sing the theme songs and do the little callbacks, and they love that stuff. So I think that they're used to the game plan of, okay, WrestleMania season comes, bring these guys back, but the fans they have in the building want the guys that have been there year round. So it's an interesting thing to watch for sure.
Like just last night we had 4 actual major shows in America.
Yeah.
And not really any part-timers, or there were debuts, but not really any old school returns.
Yeah.
And they're for the most part, all of them are being praised. Everybody kind of found what they liked. Everybody was able to find something out of it. And again, you were able to build it off the backs of who's currently out there and doing things, which is insane a year ago if you'd have said that.
Well, AAPW did use Estrella, so it was kind of an outside, but the other 3 major. The other 3 major ones, yeah.
So I had to clarify this question here because when I first read it, I was like, "Are you asking this to me, Matt, Doctor, my wife, or Biss?" And they clarified it was to you, and I was like, "Okay, that makes better sense." And the question is was this a high risk decision for you, being the promotion of Inspire AD overall?
Oh, being the promoter?
Yeah, starting the promotion, basically trying to cultivate what you have going in Austin today.
So 2012, the year before Inspire started, was the worst year of my wrestling career. So I was basically done. And I've told this story before, but the first 3 Inspire was only like best case scenario supposed to last 3 shows.
Wow.
And it was basically like it was basically my goodbye to wrestling. Like
your swan song.
It was like, all right, 2012 was horrible. It was not fun to be around wrestling. I'm gonna produce some shows that are fun and with people I enjoy. I didn't tell Max this at the time. Max, that was his break into wrestling. So sometimes he's pushed me to keep going, and then once he gets me going, sometimes there's times I've got to push him to keep going. But here we are 11 years later. The problem is people showed up. So
that's a problem.
Once people showed up, then
show must go on.
Well, all right, I guess we'll do another one. And Max was extremely driven at that time, where I may have been kind of just trying to have my swan song. and we just kind of kept each other going. So, and here we are today. So I didn't view it as a risk at the time. A weird way in the back of my head, like this was always the game plan. I broke in holding a camera in the back, but I was constantly trying to learn, little bits and pieces about promoting and how to run a show and how things work. I used to do this little trick where, like, they say go talk to veterans, get feedback. Well, I'm a camera guy. I'm not going to go up and waste, a guy like Dusty Wolf's time. But, if you sit at the table right behind Dusty, you can hear everything he's talking about. So I would try to position myself where I could overhear things. That sounds horrible, but
Genius.
that's the way that it went. And then, fortunately, by the time we got to 2013, I knew enough to be dangerous. So, kind of always in the back of my head thought that there might be a time where I'd be in the spot I am now. But it wasn't purely by design. It almost was an accident. But happy to be here now, definitely. And wouldn't trade it for the world.
I don't pop on that. First of all, that's a very Japanese wrestling origin story as well. I don't like wrestling. I'm going to go start my own first. Was it
and a camera guy too, no less.
And a camera guy,
Japanese Jack Tunney.
Yeah. Was it harder or more high risk, or felt more like a high risk decision coming back post Muda? As a callback to where we were saying 2020 timeframe and stuff earlier.
Yeah. I was chomping at the bit. I was ready to go. I was privy to some data on that stuff, so I was like, kind of like, okay, it looks like this trend's going this way. Like maybe at this point we can jump back in. So I was ready to go at various points, and before it was official, and then definitely didn't. The last thing I wanted to do was to run a show and then somebody there gets sick and then have to have that on my conscience. So, but like watching people run during that time and the way that they were doing it was like, oh man, we could do that. We could do it this way. But it always came back to that, to where it was like, okay, if we do run this show and then somebody, either a fan or a wrestler, gets very sick from us running the show, can we really live with that? And until we got to the point where we could say, okay, we think that we're in the clear enough that that's not going to happen. We didn't really run, and that was very end of 2021, right? Outdoors, at the Yellow Jacket Social Club, everybody spread out, all that stuff. And then from there, everybody else started running indoors, and things looked a lot better. So that made it easier for us to jump back in.
I was waiting for you to ask another question.
No, sorry, I was just curious about that one, because like that was a weird time in wrestling, and I saw some of those shows like you were talking about, to where they almost never stopped running, and it was like, but why though?
Yeah.
And then the ones that, like you said, you start off outdoors, and then you can kind of work your way back in.
Yeah.
So,
and like that was the point in time where I really fell back in love with wrestling in a weird way, because it was taken away. Because from 2013 was okay, we're gonna do these 3 shows, and then I'm gonna go do something else with my life. Okay, maybe if I hit 10 years, then 10 years is enough. Then I'll, and there was always just something else, and that's a lot of quiet time of not being able to be around people and just being like, well, hold on, like doing this is what I enjoy, doing this is what I love, like,
right.
I don't want to ever not do this, like, and just saying that to yourself and being like, well, shit, okay, why am I keep looking for an exit when if I did, like, they forced an exit on me, and I hate this.
Yeah.
So like, why would I leave this if I ever had a chance not to leave this?
So some personal questions towards the end, and we actually got wrapped up in this, Matt.
Okay.
First one is, who's a better drinker, me or you?
Define better.
Well, I was about to say there needs to be some context added to this. So, I can't drink right now for a variety of reasons.
I don't drink anymore, really.
They are not law related. I just want to clear that up. But neither one of us really drink anymore yet.
So by default, it's me.
Yeah, so by
Dr.
default,
Wife.
Dr. the Wife drinks the hardest out of all of us. That's not. No, please don't walk away
Let's put
thinking
that
that
on.
she's an alcoholic.
You
She's not.
happy.
All right, so drinks of choice.
Okay, that's a better question.
When
Yeah, because
drinking,
that's the
I'll go-
follow up.
I'm a rum and coke guy.
rum and coke.
Yeah.
Good choice.
I'm glad you brought that up because it was Jack and Coke or beer was our next question.
When I drink, it was either Jaeger and Monster or vodka and Red Bull because I hate myself.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you're not feeling drunk and wired at the same time, what are you doing?
Have you had a bad Jaeger night
Yes.
and you still drink Jaeger?
Yes.
Okay.
The only thing-
Respect.
The only I'll tell you all a
Respect.
fun
That's
personal
a
story.
word you could use in that
The
situation.
only alcohol I can't drink from a bad experience is Jack.
Oh yeah.
Because somebody, not naming names, my first time ever drinking, brought Jack and Coke and vodka and orange juice.
No. Hold on. That wasn't Jack. That's how bad that night was for you.
I died.
I know
I stopped
that
breathing.
that
Someone
wasn't
punched me in the chest and brought me back to life.
that was not Jack that did that. That's how bad that night was. It was
it
Mad
soju?
Dog 2020.
Oh, well.
It was no, there was that as well. It was bad. But if I taste Jack now,
Yeah.
I throw up.
It just
Like
goes right
it's
up.
immediately,
Wow.
yeah, immediate. But after all those times of like almost passed out on a dance floor at a random club in Germany from crashing from the Red Bull or the Monster
Oh.
or just whatever, I was still ready to go back the next night.
Oh.
My worst and most favorite drink is soju.
Soju's so good, though. I do soju and cranberry.
So I remember it was around this time of the year in 2004, and I can't narrow it down to a month or a day. I
You
just
can't
know.
remember after the soju.
Yeah, I can't. It was just
cold.
it was cold and there was
cold.
snow outside, and I am anti-snow or cold.
He didn't even know what snow was when he came to see me the first time.
I was so out of it. That I had a Ricky Bobby moment from
Ricky
Talladega Nights. I walked outside after slamming 5 of the green bottles. Matt knows what I'm talking about.
How big were the bottles?
About yeah, big.
Oh, God.
So
It
You're
sneaks
by
up on you.
yourself.
no, I wasn't by myself. That was just me.
No, I mean,
No, I had people with me.
did the people partake in this bottle? Or did
Oh,
you
yeah,
have
yeah,
the
we were
bottle?
all
Oh,
wasted.
okay.
No, they had their own.
Oh, they had their own. So you took one of those bottles yourself.
No, I said 4 or 5.
I know,
So-
but you took the whole
We
thing.
had so in Korea you can actually buy soju by the case,
Oh, jeez.
right? So you
Nice.
bring the case like a case of beer, like an old cube, right?
Right.
And you go to the norebangs, which is karaoke bars.
Mm-hmm.
You sing all the songs terribly. You set the case down on the table,
Or wonderfully, considering you were drinking soju.
and you open up the box and you just start pulling bottles out.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to be drinking it out of like this
Shots.
fancy cup or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, we just started drinking them out of the bottles
Jeez.
because it tastes like water.
Yeah.
And so when
It's
you
a
start,
sneaky one.
and then you stand up and you're like, I've made a terrible
Yeah, it's
mistake
kind
in my
of
life.
it just trickles all the way down to the rest of you.
All I remember is walking out of that 5-story norebang. There's about 2 feet of snow on the ground. I am stripping down to my underwear, rolling around in the streets, yelling, "I am on fire!"
Oh my god.
And I had to have 2 or 3 people with me to kind of collect me up, throw me in a taxi, and get the hell out of there.
I said the one time we were supposed to have a who can drink better because he was in Korea, I was in Germany, and it was like, who has the better drinking culture? He brought soju. I had never heard of it before, and he had a friend with him at the time, Jen. Shout out to Jen, wherever he is.
Not coming back to Texas
And I was
because
like-
of this incident.
I picked up soju, the soju bottle, because I'm like, and I literally was like, I'm from Germany. I could do whatever you could do, and put
But
the
I
bottle
could
in
do
my
better.
He
lips and
negates-
turn it
he
upside down. The last thing I remember is doing that, and Jen going, no.
He
And then I
negates
woke
to
up locked in the
mention
room the
that
next day.
Negate.
it wasn't just a
Neglected?
regular soju bottle. I had gone
Yeah.
down to the corner store before I came back over here on leave and brought back a gallon jug
Yeah,
of
it was a
soju.
gallon jug of soju that I decided to just tip up. And I woke up the next day, locked in a room. Don't know how I got there. Don't know what happened.
He locked
Fun
himself in.
No, we
Turns out
did.
it
We
was a
locked
bathroom.
him in there.
Yeah.
Are you a rowdy drunk?
I'm a fun drunk,
Fun.
typically.
I'm the
Typically.
people watcher. I will like Homer Simpson into the shrubs.
Yeah.
Because
That's awesome.
people generally.
That's
avoid
how I
it,
am. That's
but
how
yeah.
I am now.
Yeah.
But I used to be the guy, like, I never fought. I was never a fighter. Like, I was the guy that was like, you want a drink? Let's get us a drink.
Yeah.
And I'm buying drinks for everybody. And then I'm like, look at that ladder over there. I should climb that ladder. Not to, like, jump off or anything. I just want to see what life was like on top of that
What's up
ladder.
there?
Yeah, what's up here? So you were rum and coke. Do you have a specific brand of rum?
Captain Morgan private stock.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
I like they have that spiced one with the Kraken on it.
Oh yeah.
I used to really like that one a lot. I forget what it's called. It might just be called
The
Kraken.
Captain Morgan or the actual Kraken.
Maybe it was Kraken.
Kraken has a little bit more of vanilla to it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Kraken.
Yeah.
I knew you used to be Smirnoff. Did you translate into anything else?
I've kind of gotten away from that, more into the whiskey side of the house now. I just like a good whiskey.
Just a good whiskey.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't taste like Moody.
I was a Jaeger and any kind of vodka. Cheap. The cheaper the better, because the Red Bull kills the taste. What do you drink as the resident alcoholic?
I am not a resident alcoholic. I just enjoy a good, every now and then.
Right.
I'm more like, let's see. My favorite over the holidays is coquito. I love making that. I love coconut. Coconut anything I love. But usually when I'm not doing anything and wanting to, it's, what is it called? Vodka and cranberry juice.
I like classic.
Simple. Yeah.
Yeah, just easy.
They
Or
used to
I'll test martinis out sometimes, and but that's traditionally what I like to go for.
The vodka and cranberry used to be that was my end of the night. I can just sip on it and kind of calm down before I have to try to go somewhere.
Yeah. My broke college go-to was House Vodka and Heineken, which was not the best.
Wait, at the same time?
Yeah. No. Well, the House Vodka supercharges the Heineken, right? Because the Heineken has a higher alcohol percentage than most of the beers you can get.
Yeah.
And then the House Vodka is just basically turpentine.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Ooh.
Yep.
It's like that part when they make their drinks and all the drinks just mix together and and then they pour it in a cup and say, "Here you go."
And the bleach from the rag.
Oh,
yeah, it's great. They gotta ring the rag out.
Yeah.
It doesn't count.
Gross.
Favorite mixed drinks?
Is that a question?
No, that for me it is.
Follow up? Oh.
Follow-up question. So not recently now, I guess it's been 3 years. I went to a concert in Philly over New Year's. And so complete snow on the ground.
Coldest time of the year for
freezing,
Philly, man.
Not pleasant. The venue was selling hot chocolate and they were selling Fireball.
Oh, nice.
And we were like, hey, what if we put the Fireball in the hot chocolate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Mexican hot chocolate.
Yeah, that's
Amazing.
good. That's good. Nice spiced hot chocolate.
Your mixture?
Mine would be, and this is a mixed drink where you're mixing alcohols, right?
Yeah.
Not ingredients.
Oh, it could be an ingredient, whatever it is that you like to do.
Your cocktail of choice.
Coquito, man.
Just coquito.
When was the first time my mom gave me some a couple years ago. She had somebody made her some, and nobody sold it to her. For those of you who've been running with that controversy, she acquired a bottle, and I left it in the fridge for a long time, thinking I don't want to drink. This is gross. Then I actually cracked it open and tried it, man, and it had 2 different liquors in it too. Oh, it was so
what are the 2 liquors?
I know for sure one of them is Bacardi. I
Okay.
forgot which Bacardi, but it has to be, I think it's a spiced one. And it may be also gold, Bacardi Gold. But, yeah.
I do have to caveat earlier, too, when you said a bad night. Bacardi 151.
Oh, yeah.
Can't do that anymore.
I've seen somebody fire breathe on that stuff.
I was walking into a bar once, already again, semi-drunk. And there was a guy trying to convince his other friend to take a shot of Bacardi with him. And I was like, you could do it. Don't be a wuss. Immediately puked in the bush and was like, maybe you shouldn't. Walked back in.
Yeah.
Is 151 the one they don't make anymore?
Oh,
No, they
don't
make it. You can still get it.
Yeah, you can
Yeah,
still
okay.
get it.
It's more limited,
Yeah.
but they do make it.
Okay.
Because if they got rid of that, they'd have to get rid of
That's like half
what's
their
the other
brand.
one? The nasty drink that's 90.
Everclear.
Yeah,
Oh,
Everclear.
Oh,
or abstinence.
Yeah.
Absinthe's not as bad as people make it out
I've
to be.
never had that.
Yeah. This time of year, well, I used
That
to.
shows you refined drinking, Matt.
Now I really probably shouldn't, but a white Belgium, which is white Russian with chocolate liqueur instead of coffee.
Oh,
And then a Pimm's Cup number 2, which is Pimm's from England which is kind of like a tropical orange flavor
Okay.
with ginger beer, and then it's dressed with like all sorts of fruit and shit.
Oh,
So,
sounds good.
As not a beer guy, is ginger beer better
Ginger
or
ale.
similar?
Yeah,
Oh, it's just ginger ale.
basically ginger ale.
Oh, I could try that. I could have that.
The ginger beer, I think, actually has alcohol in it, but yeah,
Huh.
it's basically the same. A little bit more of that biting ginger taste, but yeah.
Ginger's pretty good. It's a tea too.
All right. Well, with that,
Wait, what was yours? Your
what?
favorite
No.
mixture?
Flaming Dr. Pepper.
Flaming Dr. Pepper.
Flaming Dr. Pepper.
Yep.
What is a flaming Dr. Pepper?
Oh, don't give me the line. I've usually hammered by the
It's
time
like a
it gets to
shot
this
that
point.
they set on fire and tasted just like Dr. Pepper.
So
Really?
they have a big mug
Yeah.
filled with beer,
Yeah.
and then they usually have like straws, forks, or whatever holding up a tall shot glass
Right,
on top
right.
of that, right? And then I know they have this is how fuzzy my memory is
A
now.
type of liquor.
Three. It's three types of
types.
liquor,
Okay.
and they usually wrap it up with Bacardi 151 on top and light it on fire.
Wow.
Mm.
So while it's
because
on
that's
fire,
the flame
yeah,
fuel.
and they'll say fire in the hole, slap whatever's holding the shot glass up there, and it'll fall into the glass.
Uh-huh.
You're supposed to slam it, the whole thing. As soon as the shot glass hits the bottom, pick it up, slam it.
Uh-huh.
It tastes like Dr. Pepper.
It does.
Really?
It tastes straight like Dr. Pepper, and that's
Well, what
what
about the fire? It just goes out?
Don't worry
Put
about
it-
fire.
Yeah, I pass. I'm not even going to burn my face over that.
I
For
thought for a
curiosity's
second
sake.
though you were gonna give us our required wrestling podcast Simpsons reference and go with the flaming Mo, but you didn't. Good job.
I'm gonna cut that. Moving on.
Yeah.
But we're gonna go ahead and start wrapping this up.
Okay.
I can't thank you enough, Biss, for joining us today. I know this is a little out of your way and kind of unorthodox.
Talking wrestling's always good.
Talk to me. Tell me where we can find you, Inspire, and anything else you got coming in the future. Anything else you want to plug?
Yeah, on the twatter is what we call it here, right?
Yeah.
That's
It's
what I.
That's what he
it's
calls
my life is a war. It's at Biss says. Follow all the Inspire AD socials, which I'm sure are on the screen currently. And yeah, February 25th, Inspire AD Battle Wars taking on New Texas Pro. So
And
very
defeating them.
excited. Matches should be coming soon. Already stuff in the works. So pumped for that.
All right, Matt. Go ahead and say it. Whatever it is.
I was just saying, after this though, we should talk more wrestling and start a wrestling and drinking podcast
Yeah.
and just
Oh my
discuss.
gosh, because-
discuss-
You may be shocked to hear there are a few drinkers in professional wrestling.
I think I might
No.
have heard that somewhere. But
So is
no,
this
that's the
gonna
beauty of
feature
it. You don't
specific
edit
drinks?
it. You just let it get worse. than it is.
So take a shot every time somebody does something?
Yeah.
An or two?
Oh dear God.
Moving
Everybody's
on.
going to do
Our
it.
5-minute podcast.
Everybody's going to
Wasted.
do it, especially if you're slamming a couple.
Moving on. That's it for me, Waldo.
I'm the Matt.
And I'm Dr. The White.
Don't forget you can check out all of Face Wrestling stuff. I don't have this in front of me, so on the YouTubes, the socials, SoundCloud. I also
We're back on SoundCloud.
I fixed the SoundCloud and the iTunes thing.
Oh, okay.
And check out www.stardom-world.com for only 920 yen a month.
How many?
920.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely not. And don't forget, everyone is different and everyone is good.